Aloha! Welcome to Wisdom Dialogue. This is Hope Johnson, and I'm here with my daughter, Akea. Come on, put your face in here. Yes, so happy to be here with everyone today. So grateful for all of you joining and all of you watching later. And it looks like we have a question right off the bat. I see a hand up right now, so I'm going to take that question. Aloha, Christine.
Hello, Hope.
So good to hear your voice again.
Thank you. You too. You too. I have I found myself kind of back in the same kind of pattern that that I've been in, and it's one of feeling that I'm not going to be well, that there's something wrong with me, that it's that getting caught up in the symptoms. I just had a flare up
Okay.
on Saturday, so I felt like I was doing better, and it just devastated me to feel so tired and unwell again. And I don't want to use any other words. So it's really triggered my emotional being, and it's like like Eckhart Tolle says, that emotional body is very active, and I'm having a hard time sitting with it, and or even knowing what to do again. When I get in that state, it's kind of like I forget everything.
Yeah, it's a real important to be reminded, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
every time a flare-up happens, notice all of the emotions that are fed into it.
Oof.
And
Yeah.
that's just so much food for the ego, So every time that happens, it's like there's this wanting it to go away. And then notice whenever you start to feel better, there's hope that it's going to continue that way too. So
Yes.
that's all natural. That's all natural that happens. It's just a matter of noticing that that's not you. You know, it's this identification with the body. So then there's this reason to be concerned about what happens with the body. And as long as there's concern about what happens with the body is going to be concerning. You know, because it's all about I need to get this body better so that I could be at peace. Or I need to keep this body well so that I could be at peace. And that's really an illusion.
Okay.
But actually noticing what it is that's keeping this illusion that peace is somehow removed from you because of your body, just in noticing that illusion, and it allows you to feel the sensations instead of going into the mind. That's what's happening every time. It's going into thoughts. When the body starts feeling better, these thoughts arise, and there's identification with those thoughts that want it to keep feeling better. The thoughts are going to be there automatically. That's not a problem.
Hmm.
It's just identifying with them. And, sometimes it helps to just keep on reminding yourself that your joy doesn't depend on your body. That's the lie. That's why so many people are seeking to preserve the body, and when it doesn't work out for them, they feel guilty, like they did something wrong. And you
Right.
notice also how the mind will start to uh, throw out thoughts about how you haven't done something right, and that's why it's coming back.
Yeah, well, I'm looking for what I didn't do right to make it
Yes.
back. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That it's super tricky. So whenever one of those thoughts arises, noticing that has no meaning, that makes you less interested in it. It's just that it sticks around because there's interest, and then that makes it more likely that you're gonna need to have these heavy experiences of the body, because there's all this identification with it.
And when it doesn't feel well, how it's so hard to not have identification with it because it's ruling my life. You know?
So it seems. So it seems, and that's also something that's being it's allowed to be seen that way. It's really being interpreted that way.
Okay.
because it's the mind that's projecting the body all the time. The body actually has no say over what the mind is going to think. The mind is the projector of the body. It's not
The
like
mi-
it's not like the mind. It's not like the mind is the body's slave. It's not like that. Sort of the other way around.
okay.
Yeah. So when you go to the mind and you do your work there, then the projection may or may not change, and that's the thing. There can't be an attachment to whether the projection changes.
Mhm.
When they're seeing that you're not the body and the body's just a projection, it's like it's not really there. It's always shifting and changing, like kind of like mist, kind of like mist, you know.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but when there's this identification with it, it gets very hard, you know. And I've talked a lot of times about giving birth, the last time giving birth, you know, as far as the whole body opening up and all the sensations that come along with that.
Hmm.
And you know, that's known to be very painful. I don't, have you experienced that, Christine?
I haven't.
Okay.
I
Okay, yeah,
don't like pain.
right. It's known to be extremely painful, and you know, in that last experience, the sensations were not experienced as pain. You know, but that took some practice focusing the mind in that way.
Okay.
And so seeing that the body isn't ruling the mind. It's not. That's not how it's going. So it's like if you're willing to feel, if you're willing to feel all the sensations, they end up not feeling so painful. And see, the pain is also an interpretation of sensation. So if
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
willingness to just feel what the sensation is without labeling it as pain, it's like, oh, there's so much pain. Noticing that that's a mental label. You know, that's a mental label on sensation. It's an interpretation of what you're feeling. Same thing with giving birth. You know, it's that uterus opening up and the vaginal canal opening up and all that widening and stuff. It can be interpreted as pain, but it doesn't have to be interpreted as pain. As pain, everything in the world can be interpreted differently.
As what?
Sensation,
Just sensation.
just sensation. Well, in my case, I felt the pressure
Hmm.
of the opening. There was pressure, and then in my body, what I felt was heat. And I've heard other people say that too, as far as feeling what would normally be interpreted as pain, feeling that heat, interpreting that and making that kind of interpretation um, instead of the pain.
Okay.
Because it's,
Okay.
it's really an emotional thing. Like pain is fear. Pain is a manifestation of fear. So it's really an emotional thing. And then you know the emotion of fear is also felt as heat. And that's what I notice in my body too. Whenever I'm faced with an emotion that could be interpreted as painful, it's felt as a heat.
Okay. Well, that's
Okay.
funny you say that because one of the sensations of this flare up is a lot of heat, and it happens at
Okay.
night, and it doesn't let me rest. Um,
Okay.
so, that's what I've been doing, just laying there and just, being with it, feeling it.
Uh huh.
Um, and I guess I'm waiting for it to shift because, it's like 2, 3, it's 4 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock. Okay. It's like,
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean, especially being up at night and waiting to be able to fall asleep and stuff like that.
and not wanting to, to distract myself with, I don't want to put the computer on because then that will just stimulate the brain more and, trying to,
Uh-huh.
I meditated and usually that makes me tired for sure, but that didn't
Didn't
work.
happen that time.
No. No. So I am being with sensation.
Yeah.
It's just hard to stay out of the story that this disease is getting worse because the flare-ups are more often and the sensations are stronger.
Uh-huh.
So, it definitely brings in more fear. So I guess it's
Yeah,
just more
yeah.
opportunity to be with more sensation.
Yes, exactly. Now, my mom wrote something in. She said, walk by feeling. You need to walk by faith, as we are already healed. And that's the thing, that the illusion of a sick body is only an illusion. The body actually isn't even sick. It isn't even healthy. It isn't even real. But the illusion of a sick body is an attack by the mind.
Okay.
See, so when you keep on walking by that feeling, which is what my mom's saying, like walking by that feeling, engaging in those thoughts about that feeling,
Mm-hmm.
it's feeding into that idea that your body's not healed,
Yeah.
and that makes your body and your personal sense of self so much more solid in the mind. And the more solid it is in the mind, the more the mind's going to attack it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so all the work is there. All the work is right in the mind. It's not trying to change the situation at all. It's
Okay.
not trying to change something on the surface. And here's something I said before. I'm going to say it again because it's a really awesome example. I might make you guys sick of hearing this, but if you keep on hearing it, you're going to see. I promise. So,
Eventually I'll get it. Yeah.
but yeah. So basically, it's like consciousness with the conscious mind, right? That's the part that can witness everything that's going on. All right.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
conscious mind, it's like it's sitting in a movie theater and there's a big screen and it's watching the movie of itself in a life, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's trying to its knee-jerk reaction is to try to mess with the screen, to try to change things around and stuff like that, not understanding that the projection is actually coming from back here, from the subconscious mind. It's actually being projected forward from the subconscious mind. Everything's coming from there, and that's what's not seen. It's not going to be seen except as a manifestation on the screen. So that's why the manifestation on the screen is really the invitation. It's the reflection of that subconscious mind. It's not personal though. And the thing that happens with people when they see a reflection that they don't like, they immediately look for what's wrong with me.
Right.
And that's more feeding into the idea that there's a me that could be guilty and needs some punishment.
Right.
And that's what goes right into the subconscious mind to be again projected out on the screen.
Okay.
You see what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I do. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get it. I get it when I talk to you and then I forget it.
Well, you know what, and that's why I like to come and share with you is whenever.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, because it's like this awakening is a process, and that's what I see. It's an apparent process though, because like I said, and like my mom said, you're already healed. So
Okay.
this, but the awakening from all this mental conditioning, it's so strong that it'll come back in. There's this forgetfulness that happens, and that's why it's important to keep on feeding yourself with this wisdom, in whatever way you can. Reading things. For me, I have an app on my iPhone from A Course in Miracles. You know, it just comes up every hour. It plays a little tune. Just in case I'm thinking about something else. Let me see. Let me remind myself what it is today. It's pretty good. There is another way of looking at this. Just easy stuff like that. There's another way of looking at this. That's the
Hmm.
thing. It's like when you're lost in the mind, you don't realize there's another way of looking at this. And it's not that it's necessary to ever push away any negative thoughts, because the pushing itself is that identification. The pushing itself is like a battle, and there's no battle to be done. The battle's already won. So when negative thoughts arise, all that needs to happen is for them to be seen, just like a positive thought. They're the
Hmm.
same.
Okay.
They're thought. They're thought. But positive thought feels lovely, right? so, so when that one comes up, it can be entertained and enjoyed, but still with the awareness that it's all an illusion. With that awareness, okay, it's different thinking that you're an individual and going, "Oh, this is a positive thought. This is how I want to build myself up." and push away the negative thoughts. No, it's like it could just be enjoyed. And the same with the negative thoughts. That's what I find in my own experience. When a negative thought arises, it's comical. It really is. So it's something to be enjoyed and played with too, just in a really different way, because it's funny. And sometimes the positive thoughts are funny too.
Uh-huh.
Like sometimes I'll look in the mirror and the thought will come like, "Damn, you look good," and I'll laugh at that too. Or the opposite, whatever it is. Whatever it is that might stimulate any kind of sensation in you, or sometimes I'll just hear random thoughts, like who knows where they come from,
Right. Right.
sometimes I'll just hear a random thought like that'll say I'm so sick or whatever.
Hmm.
If a thought arises in your mind that says I'm so sick, have a laugh at it, even
Okay.
if you do seem to experience, or you're apparently experiencing illness in the body. That's
Okay.
okay. You can still have a laugh at it, because that I that it's referring to isn't just isn't.
So does it
It's
mean
a,
you don't do anything to support the body while it's in the process of this?
well, no, that's not what
Except,
I'm saying at all, because it's all being done, and that's the thing. That's the thing that's realized. It's just allowing whatever is done through the body to be done without identifying with it. It's all in the mind as far as identifying as this individual that needs something. Okay,
but
so
doesn't
it's
the body doesn't need anything to support it, like supplements or vitamin C or, it's like, doesn't it does help it feel better, or is that just temporary?
well, that what you're saying is the mind using agents in the illusion to create a different illusion. That's all it is. Not that there's anything wrong with it at all.
Okay.
You know, so sometimes that's what it takes to feel better. Is the mind using, but only noticing what's going on, only just noticing, oh, that's the mind using this to get itself to a belief that you feel better,
Okay.
because nothing in the world actually affects the body, only the mind affects the body.
Okay.
That's an illusion that stuff in the world affects the body.
Okay.
So it's like if you're in a situation, a funny thing is I can't afford medical care, that one. It's
Hmm.
like then you don't need it. Look to something, you can just look to whatever there is, because really anything could be a healing. It could make this illusion that healing happen. It could be some dirt from your garden. Maybe you just take some dirt from your garden and put it on your forehead. It's like whatever the mind is gonna
Right.
believe is pure, you know.
Well, then that brings me to another question. So, illness itself, like something that you're not aware, like say you walk through poison ivy and you didn't know it, and all of a
Okay.
sudden you have all this rash over your body.
Okay.
There's you didn't do anything to create it, or I mean,
No.
because it just kind of came out of, oh, I think I'm going, never mind, I'm going back to look for a cause.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, no, yeah.
it's like when you say you didn't do anything to create it, it's like there's not a you like that in the
I
first
know.
place.
I got it as soon as I said
You know
it.
that. You know
I
it.
know. I know.
And then okay, my mom wants to share a verse called, it says the carnal mind is the enemy of God. And basically that one way to look at that is the carnal mind is all focused on illusion and you being in the illusion. And it's like God is love. God is awareness. God is unity. And so it's like why would you believe an enemy of that? There's no need to believe it. There's no need to fight it though, and that's a big one. It's like another thing is I'm getting is the idea of don't look at the negative thoughts. That's something where if it's not looked at, this is what I notice. If it's not looked at, but not from a believing point of view, and I'm not saying from a believing point of view, I'm saying looked at for what it is. When it's looked at for what it is, and especially when it's sensed in the body for what it is, it could just be acknowledged It could just be acknowledged, whatever that negative thought is, like the thought that says, I'm sick, for instance.
Yeah.
It's if it's seen, like when it arises in the mind, it could just be looked at and even felt as sensation in the body, and then it's dismissed, it's dissolved. It's different from saying, no, I don't want that thought, and pushing it away and going for the opposite.
Uh-huh.
Because that represses it. It still will stay in the subconscious mind and continue its projection in all different myriad ways. So we don't want to push. That's really big. We don't want to push anything away. We don't want to. We don't want to hide our eyes. You know, we want to be aware of everything that comes up in every moment. I love it when that happens. Even something, like a thought about another person, like she's a bitch. It'll just be like, what? Where did that come from? It's not a matter of not looking at it. It's a matter of seeing it and recognizing that it's not one bit true.
Okay.
Because it's not me who wants to hold any kind of judgment over somebody. That's conditioning, and so when the conditioning's seen for what it is, it'll just dissolve.
Okie dokie.
You start to see more of what's coming up, and you're willing to see it. Start to see more of what's coming up, and the thing is that the mind is shared, so it doesn't make you good or holy or anything to not see these thoughts. That doesn't mean that you've reached some sort of spiritual pinnacle because you don't see these kinds of thoughts, and that's why I like to share my own experience of these things that just arise in the mind,
Mm-hmm.
and how they don't need to be followed. You can tell when a thought's given to you from that carnal mind, enemy of love, and when it's coming from that space of unity.
Yeah, but then there's the mind that's that kind of tricks me, and it feels like it's the loving mind, but it's just the mind still trying to get my attention to tell me something's real, like looking in the mirror, like, oh, you're really beautiful, or oh, oh, you've got, a wrinkle over there in your face that you didn't have. It could be either. But
Uh-huh.
I think, aren't they both trying to just get your attention and take it out of the body?
They're trying to take the attention to the body and making the body real.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same.
Okay.
It's both the same. It's both the same. That's why it's like, okay, that kind of stuff, all those kind of little comments, they can just be laughed at and played with too.
Okay,
You
so the
know.
body's not real either.
And,
Yeah, so I went there. I made the body real and not the mind. So the body's not real either. Okay.
and yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
and that's the thing that gets reversed, that leads to a lot of stuff happens, is it gets reversed, and it kind of makes the mind a slave to the body, as in whenever the body is experiencing any kind of turmoil, it makes for emotional turmoil, mental pain. See,
Definitely. Yeah.
and that's not that it's making that illusion, really. It's really making that illusion. It's all coming from the mind. But when it's seen like that, it makes that illusion of the body stronger, of having a body stronger.
Uh-huh.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, here's another thing my mom said. She said, if you talk to the negative thoughts, it's like feeding a monkey. And the more you
Oh.
feed him with those thoughts, he eventually becomes a gorilla and devours you in your mind. Yeah.
Touche. Yeah.
and, and it's like the you that would be talking is still in the mind too. It's like it's just that there's an interest in those.
Okay.
It's an interest in those thoughts. It's saying that those mean something.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're seen and noticed to not mean anything, then they don't have anything to do with you. There's nothing to feed them. There's nothing to feed into them. One way to say it is that there's nothing in you for negative thoughts to adhere to.
Say that again, you broke up.
There's nothing in you for negative thoughts to adhere to.
Okay.
And the same really goes for positive thoughts, because any positive thought can bring about its negative. So it's all played with. It's all just played with. It's all just seen and played with in joy and laughter and lightness.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
I guess I just got another quick question. Are you doing any workshops at Kalani, December, January, February?
Not right now. Somebody asked me at Kalani and I told them that I would be willing to, but somebody else has to do all the setup stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So like if they, of course it's free, so then Kalani doesn't charge for it. But as far as just like getting the word out and all that other stuff, but I do them in Ba'ava every week.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
yeah, so you don't have to go to Kalani.
Oh, okay. Because, well, that's
Somebody's
where I
hosting.
started.
Yeah, somebody's hosting that one.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Christine. I love you.
Aloha. I love you too. Thank you so much.
Don't be afraid to put your hand up again.
All right.
Okay, so at the moment I see no hands. Okay, do you have a hand?
No.
No. Okay. Well then, I'm going to my Facebook page to see what's on there. I know what we just had a good long conversation about the body, and there's been definitely plenty of posts about that. Here, wow, wow, I've been on the body lately. Okay, well here's the cool one. Personal truths are nothing but lies. That's why it seems like they need to be defended. Often spiritual concepts that point to all-encompassing truth can be held as personal truths. Feeling defensive is an opportunity to surrender attachment to the thought that's causing it and be an example of what's really true. So this is something that comes up when you're aware of a spiritual truth. There's an awareness of it, and it's not quite solid and concrete in the consciousness yet. There's an awareness of it. There's a feeling for it, and what happens is the ego looks for opportunities to argue about it, basically, and puts it into different disguises. Like, this person really needs my help, or this person really doesn't see, and I need to help them see. Or where something is said and the person takes it as no and is totally blocked off, and then there's this need to keep on pursuing that with them. And that's something that can be completely just felt in the body. Whenever faced with that kind of situation where you just feel this urge to tell someone what's what, just to tell them what's what. Hey, you're acting completely delusional right now. And what's really happening is that perception is bringing up discomfort in the body. And that discomfort in the body is what the action is coming from. It seems like it's coming from a place of love and compassion, because you might have a perception of this person struggling and needing something. But if there's discomfort in your own body about it, and that's why it's really important to check in, it's not time to put that out there. It might be more time to give someone a pat on the back and let them know that you love them and they're heard, even if they're talking completely delusional. They didn't ask you for your wisdom or whatever, because that kind of relating makes a division between people, and it's not any way to show what the truth is. That really has to be demonstrated more than talked about. It really has to be demonstrated. And like anything else, there's not a choice in this. There's not a choice in how it's done. So these things might pop right out of the mouth, and it's totally okay. As there's awareness of it, there's more of a willingness to check in with the body and see what's going on with the body, and even ask for guidance. I've said before, there's plenty of beings without bodies that are egoless, and they're willing and ready to give that love and support and help, whether it's time to be quiet or just give a hug or look of compassion, or even just walk away, or even say something, whatever it is. So, yeah. Okay, I see that that didn't bring up any questions for anybody. That's wonderful. Okay. Here's another one. People tend to apologize when they sincerely feel guilty, but guilt itself is not sincere. It's only a misperception. Now, this isn't said to say that you shouldn't apologize or you shouldn't have guilty feelings, of course. Apology happens when it happens. Nobody has a choice in that. And guilty feelings present themselves when there's a misperception. Just like I said earlier about these things of rising on the screen. Guilt is one of those things that it will arise on the screen. It's a guilty perception. So if you see it as being a perception, then the communication between people can flow more smoothly, because there's not an idea of like this closing off, like, oh, I did it wrong or whatever. Noticing that everything is just happening. You don't have a choice in what you're saying or what you're doing. Okay, it looks like everyone on here is really still, so raise your hand if you can hear me right now. They can't hear me. Or else I can't see them raising their hands. I'm going to unmute mics to see what happens here. Let's see what happens here. Mom, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, I could hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I've been listening to you. I wanted to ask you something. I raised my hand.
Oh, well, what's going? All right, then what's going on is I'm not seeing the hands. Okay, I'm just gonna have to go back to people randomly because these hands aren't happening.
Yeah. You mentioned that you believe in the spiritual beings. Do you know any of them? Or would you be willing to listen to some of their names that had certain jobs? How about that?
Well, sure.
I mean, you would, huh? Okay,
Sure.
well, the lady that was talking, there is a spiritual being that actually completely gets rid of pain. Yeah,
Okay.
and that person is called Elixir. And there's
Elixir.
another one that releases any blockages in your body, which is like, and his name is Drought. And the way to get rid of him is calling on Almathor. So those are just two, but I know a lot. But anytime I have pain, I call on either one of them, and it's gone immediately.
Okay, well, how about if you write those down in the chat here,
Okay.
and then I'll copy them and I'll put them as a handout for anybody who wants to know about that.
Okay.
Write it down and then put the pronunciation.
There's one, I don't know, there's one that's called Lost and Found. And if you call on him, if you ever lose anything, I want you to test this. If you ever misplace anything, you call on Lost and Found within seconds. It'll come to your mind or you will see it.
Sounds fun.
Every time. Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Okay.
Okay, Mom. Mahalo.
Even him, I know him.
Sweet. Lori?
Yes, can you hear me?
Aloha. I can hear you fine. I don't see hands, so I'm just going
yeah.
to you.
Well,
have any questions?
my whole keyboard, my whole screen has like froze up. I can't click on anything. I don't know what the hell, but I didn't dare push escape or shut it down. I just I just said I'll just sit here and listen. Which is hard for me. You know it's hard for me.
Yeah, once I saw no hands going up at all, I was like, okay, something's going on.
Especially if Laura's not saying something.
Right.
Okay, so I can't now. Of course, I can't think of anything.
Great.
But there was something. But I was so freaked out about my computer. Now I've lost it.
Okay.
Whatever.
You want me to come back?
Come back at some point. Yeah. Yeah, something will come up.
Okay.
Okay.
Aloha. Is that name Miguel? Miguel, are you there? I just unmuted your mic. You may have to do something on your end to speak. Alrighty. I'm going to mute that one again. Actually, I'll leave it open just in case he or she comes back. I'm not sure. Oh, is that? Oh, wow. Okay. Offline. Okay, perfect. Phoebe, aloha.
Hey, woman! Oh my God, this is so cool.
It's beautiful to talk with you.
You too. So Lori was actually kind of talking to me last night about when shit like that comes up and you want to say something to somebody, and
Yeah,
all the time because you can see the bigger picture, right?
for
And
sure.
sometimes your family members end up going, "Oh my God, you're always telling us,
Hmm?
this and that."
Yeah.
And so I was wondering if Lori was thinking about that because she's always absolutely delighted to tell anybody. And whether they don't like it, to hear it or not, she doesn't care. She just bounces on to the next person. So if, right? So if she
Yeah.
doesn't have a bad feeling about it, then is that what you were saying? Like if a feeling arises in you, it's your ego.
Yeah, well, just notice if you feel uncomfortable. Just notice if your perception of them being in delusion or expressing guilt or whatever it happens to be, if your perception of them makes you feel uncomfortable, then that need to say something about it is coming from that sense of discomfort, and then it's not really coming in communion. I like to say communion, where you're really connecting with each other. And sometimes I can feel where something will come out of my mouth, and there's a blockage. Like I could just feel that there's a blockage, or it might just be said. It might just come out of somebody's mouth like, "Well, I don't believe it like that," and there's absolutely no openness to it. There will just be immediately be like, "Oh, okay, no problem," and a smile, and no problem. But that's really because it's not a choice on my part. It's really because after practice, there's this willingness to check in with the sensation in the body, and making that the first priority. Because as there's checking in with the sensation in the body, it's like these thoughts that are causing an uncomfortable sensation, they get dissolved, and so then they don't need to express themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and a lot of the times, like yesterday, I was in a live wisdom dialogues, and one of the women goes, "Well, what do I say to people like this? And what do I say to people? How could you say that to somebody?" And I go, "I don't go around saying this stuff. You guys are in wisdom dialogues. You're asking for it." It's not like I just go around saying, unless it feels guided, you know.
So
But, but
earlier
go
when
ahead.
you were saying that, so okay, so checking in with your body, which I
Yeah.
do all the time,
Wonderful.
and you know, and so when you were saying earlier that we need something, or maybe we don't, but some of us need something to bring us back to this, so we watch these videos, we do this dialogue. Would you say that's a practice, or that's just turned into like a nasty word, a practice?
Well, yeah, it's like any practice can become something that you feel like you have to do. And it's all about feeling. It's all about that. So let that also be inspired. And what I notice that occurs within is just this constant reminding of the truth, because all these different perceptions arise. So there's this constant reminding happening, and there's a joy in reading different spiritual texts and whatever happens to resonate at the time. Sometimes it's yoga. Anything can turn into something though that seems like it's the highest thing to do. This is the one that's going to bring you to that place, and really it's nothing, because for one thing, you're already there, which I think everybody on here is aware. You're already there. There's nowhere to go.
Right.
But there's certain things that resonate with you, and the practice really is a practice of devotion. It's not a matter of what you're doing, because the practice that I talk about as a practice is noticing in the moment, always just noticing in the moment. It's not a practice as far as tuning into videos, or it's not like how many videos did you watch, or how many times you did yoga, or how many chants you did, or anything like that. Those are all, for play, for fun, for reminders when there's inspiration. But the real practice comes in the moment. Those other things can help with the real practice. Because they can serve as reminders. Like especially when you get carried away by a bunch of thoughts,
Sorry, you're
kind of
breaking
like
up.
what Christine talked about. Oh, where did you lose me?
They're reminders.
Okay. Yeah, kind of like what Christine was talking about, how she will get in with all these thoughts and be really identified with the ego. And then when she does the wisdom dialogues, or something to that, wisdom dialogues, or having a conversation, sometimes she calls me and stuff like that, then it's like, oh, of course, I knew this the whole time. But it's like there was just this unwillingness to see. Like the ego can get really tricky, so there's this unwillingness to see, and then that's really part of bringing it back, whatever it is. It could be anything. Like for me, I got these reminders that come up on the phone. They're really nice. They go do 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 do, and
Yeah, I was thinking about
yeah,
that. That's a good app.
yeah. And I have them scheduled for every hour. You can do them every 10 minutes if you want, but I'm scheduled for every hour. Do do do. And it's like today, there's another way of looking at this. It's just real simple. It's real simple, because you happen to be engaged with anything, and maybe I'm engaged with my business, and I'm on an email with a customer, and I'm explaining something to them, and just that comes up and says, and that reminder right there, it just is more light, you know. But I don't consider it a practice. Like sometimes I'll just stop doing it for months on end, and then sometimes I'll feel really inspired and go, oh, I'm gonna do that again. That's fun. But it's not like it's not like I was doing anything wrong by not doing it, because that's not the real practice.
Yeah. So there
Yeah.
there really isn't one other than just checking in, making sure you're here.
Yeah, really, and being present with it, what is, watching whatever words come out of your mouth. I've been noticing certain words come out of my mouth sometimes, that don't have any meaning. They don't have any sincerity, and it's not the words themselves. And that's something that made me post that one about people tend to apologize when they sincerely feel guilty, but guilt itself is not sincere. Because I'd noticed an apology like automatically coming out, like just automatically without seeing what's going on, and it's not really a sincerity. And as that's been seen, not finding a need to say those kinds of words either. There's more like a acknowledgement of what the other person needs in that moment. That's all, and it's way more of a connection. So there's all kinds of different things that can be help to bring back that to the center, into the center, and just seeing, oh, whatever comes out, whatever arises, inner, outer, all the same, and just noticing and feeling what you notice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just looking at your beautiful face over here. I'm smiling too.
Yay. Yay. All right, I'm going to check in with some other people. I don't see the hand, so, I'm just going to go up and down and check in with you guys.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Phoebe.
Bye, honey.
Aloha, Scott. Aloha. Your mic is open, Scott.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yay.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hey.
Aloha. just wanted to check in with you and see
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Say it again.
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Hold on just a second. Let me change something.
Okay.
I totally didn't anticipate this. This is great. You can't see me, right?
I can't see you. You could be naked
Good.
if you
I'm
want.
sitting here in only a thong.
Oh, great.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I feel like
All
I
right,
could
hold
go
on.
down
Just
to
need to
that
track
right
one
now.
thing
It's
here.
really hot.
Hello.
Christine's asking, what's the name of the Course in Miracles app?
There
I'm
we
pretty sure
go.
it's the ACIM app. Let's see. Have it right here. It's called, yes, it's called the ACIM app, and I'll type it for Christine. I'll send it to all just in case anybody wants to know, because it's just an easy app to use, and you know everything. If it doesn't, and if it doesn't resonate with you, whatever comes up automatically, you could just type your own thing in. That's what's awesome. So Scott,
Yes, I'm
yes,
with you. Yeah. Yes, yes, and I can see you. This is great.
oh,
I'm
thank you.
friends. I'm grateful to be friends with both Lori and Phoebe. So this is cool that we both checked in tonight.
Oh my goodness, I'm so stoked that all three of you are on today.
Yeah, yeah. The Three Stooges.
How fun.
So listen, I joined the conversation late tonight, and are you taking any question, or do I have to be on topic, or?
Oh no, I take any question you want.
All right.
Yeah.
So here I'm a middle-aged guy,
Okay.
handsome as hell. Kidding.
Okay.
I'm a middle-aged guy, and I have this. I've been on the spiritual path most of my adult life, and much like Lori and Phoebe, and that's something beautiful that we share together, and we all spend a lot of time seeking, if you will, and doing the YouTube videos and the reading and whatever, and.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm hung up on, and I can't figure out how to get untangled from it. I have so many questions around this. It's around doing work that is meaningful to the heart and helpful to other people. And there's so much about this out there in the world, in the industry, about doing work that is on purpose
Okay.
and is fulfilling and meaningful, and where a person can get up in the morning and actually feel like, maybe not every day, but on most days, like, I just can't wait to get to work. I really feel like I'm plugged in to do what I want to do. It could be called a feeling much like I remember having when I was a little kid. Like for example, I can remember when I was a little kid, so excited to get up in the morning because it was going to be Christmas, or I knew the next day my dad was going to take me to get a new bicycle or something, and I was just wired.
Yeah.
And I know it's probably unrealistic to have that feeling about work every day, but I haven't had that my whole adult life, really. And
Okay.
so I feel like, and I have learned that I really need to cultivate and dig for that answer within myself. I can't find it outside me.
Yeah.
But the conflict is I want to reach out to you and anybody else that will listen on the planet and say, what am I supposed to be doing to find this fulfilling work? So then there are other thoughts that surface, like, dude, relax. Just be in the moment. Just be grateful for what you have, and you don't need anything else. There's that piece. Then there's another piece about ego. Like, this is all ego talking, man. This is just ego talking. Everything is fine. Don't listen to that radio station, that ego bullshit. people are just out there trying to sell you that there can be a meaningful life lived on purpose. It's not even, it can't be real for everybody because we have to have people in the trenches pumping septic tanks and cleaning people's houses and driving Uber cars or whatever else is considered possibly undesirable, you know? So
Yeah.
I'm going to put a cork in it there and listen to whatever you have to say, and I appreciate it.
Oh, wow. I really appreciate all of what you said. That's really awesome. Well, the first thing that comes up is that feeling that you had when you're a child, when you're really excited and it seems like you're excited about circumstances. That's not really what it is. That is coming from within. That excitement is coming within it, from within. It's not really about the circumstances, and that's what the illusion is. So as you're learning, quote unquote, about the world and how circumstances can go wrong, then there's this idea that you need to keep good circumstances in order to be so excited about getting up and doing your day, when going to your job, whatever it is, and everything like that. And of course, that excitement and that joy, it bubbles up from within. It doesn't really have to do with your circumstances. And if it does have to do, if it seems like it has to do with your circumstances, then that can get taken away, which is what you basically experienced. It seemed like it was because of that Christmas. It's because it's Christmas, but that's just really a projection. It's that everything you experience in the world, all the circumstances and everything, are a projection of the mind. They don't really make you happy. That's the illusion. So it's like there's no such thing as meaningful work like that. And the meaningful work is the work that's done in the mind. It's that work that's done in being present in the moment and acknowledging who you are in every moment, because that's you, and that's what uplifts you. That's what can give you that excitement in the morning to do your day, whatever it happens to be, because for one, you're not even doing it. For one, you're not making any of those choices, and that is really exciting. It's really exciting to see that you're not actually making any of those choices. You're not doing any of those things that you appear to be doing. So then all that's happening there, all that's allowed to happen there, is for you to receive that beautiful love light from the spirit that you are. One way to put it is spirit, if that resonates for you. That awareness, that's where all that love comes. And it's every little bit of some kind of joy that seems like it comes from the world, it's only just a shadow of what you can give to yourself for no reason whatsoever. And what makes your work meaningful is that willingness to be really, really aware and alert of how every sensation feels in your body. I can give you an example too. There's one part of my job that has always been dreaded, always, and that has to do with taxes. Because when taxes have to be done, that means I have to do a bunch of accounting, and that's not really something that I've ever felt like oh yeah, I want to do some counting, yeah, like that. So it's like, what I noticed was year after year, this struggle becomes more intense, and then there's all these angry feelings being projected for the IRS. Like, why is there even IRS? This is crap. I shouldn't even have to pay taxes. If I didn't have to pay taxes, I wouldn't even care it was in the books. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So these are the kinds of things that's going on, and so it's just been a real recent shift. In fact, the biggest shift that I noticed was this tax season that just passed, where when it came time to go and put in all that information, I do it all at once. I had done it all at once. I just let it all build up. It's all on credit cards anyways. Do it right there at tax season. and I used to just do it pissed. And why can't I have more meaningful work than this?
Yeah.
So this year was the first year where there was that willingness to feel whatever was arising and noticing that these thoughts and feelings, where they're really originating from. And so then the work itself became much more interesting, and it just flew by. It just flew right by. It wasn't even like it seemed so tedious. And any kind of thought that would arise about the IRS, about any of those things, they were just like taken in a real joyful and playful fashion, because it seemed that they really don't exist like that. It's just a habit.
Mm.
Here's the thing. Everything is a habit. Every perception, every thought is a habit. So when you see that it's a habit and you can feel the sensation of the habit, it gets less and less attractive. And as it gets less and less attractive, it has less and less of a charge. So then you can do it. And you know what the funny thing is? I find this year I've been keeping up on them. Like I'm all the way up through June right now, which is like amazing. But it's
Nice.
like, but what I notice that's different. It's not like, oh, I have to go and do those taxes. It's more like there will just be this movement of energy that'll be interested in seeing, because when I do that stuff for taxes, I'm also seeing what the financial state is, and just interested in seeing, and not even caring like if it says we lost money or made money. Just
Yeah, yeah, that's a nice place to be.
yeah, just interested in seeing it. So
Now, I
yeah,
will, I will of course listen to this again and glean everything I can from it. But just in a couple sentences,
yeah.
can you can you kind of encapsulate what you shared? Like I heard you say it's in the mind. So are you from the school of thought that suggests everything is unfolding perfectly and everything is predetermined? And um, as it relates to the mind, it's like a movie. Our lives are like a movie that's already been in the can, as Ramesh might say.
Yeah, yes, it is, and it's like it's predestined as far as the whole life is predestined, but
Yeah,
it's also flexible. It's also flexible. That's the thing.
yeah.
So and the flexibility is in acknowledging the truth. When the truth is acknowledged, then something shifts, and it's something that you can actually feel in the body. That shift is something that you can really feel in the body, and and then there's not a problem. Well, there's for me what I experience is there's not a problem with whatever happens on the surface, because it's all experienced as sensation. So I know that anything that I see, hear, taste, touch, smell, do, it's an interpretation of energy. It's like sound. It's almost like sound, because well, I know it is all sound first, and then that's
Mm,
being interpreted. The sound of the energy is being
yeah,
interpreted
yeah.
in form.
Through the filters of conditioning.
So yeah, yeah. So I could feel that sensation, vibration of sound in my body, and the more there's been this willingness to pay attention to how that perception feels in the body, the more it's almost like I could feel my body being played like a musical instrument. I could
Mm.
feel these vibrations happening all the time.
So if you
And
felt
it's like,
So if you felt what might be a low vibration, using my example, like if a thought floats through that says, dude, you are middle aged and you don't have a job that you like, and you should because other people do, and you should be making X amount of money by this time, and you should be doing X, Y, and Z. And and the work relates to work in the mind. What might
yeah.
what practical steps might one take to like
Well, go ahead.
go ahead.
Okay, it's
Wait.
basically just feeling that feeling and not identifying it as a high vibrational feeling or low vibrational feeling. Just in feeling the feeling, because as there's willingness to feel that sensation, then there's not a tension in the mind. You can't do both at the same time. When
Hmm.
you're putting your attention in the mind and you're engaging that thought, your attention is off of the sensation that's arising. So what I'll feel is and what I'll experience is my attention being pulled back and forth. Especially if a thought is really something that that feels attractive. The attention will be pulling back and forth. It'll kind of capitulate. It'll go to the thought, and then there's a willingness to see how that thought feels. So it'll come back to the body, and then the thought pull again back to the body. It's like it's moment to moment, and it gets easier and easier. That's what I notice. It gets easier and easier for this to happen, and starts to happen even more automatically. Even sometimes before the thought is made known to me, I could feel the resonance of it. You start to feel how certain thoughts feel. It's all habitual. It's all habitual. It's kind of like the mind's using the body as sort of a sounding board, and it's projecting the world. The whole world's coming out of the mind's interpretation of the body. That's why they say your body's like the universe. Because it's like the whole universe is actually in your body in a way, and in that every single thing that you can perceive is coming from a feeling. It's all a feeling. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna jump off with gratitude and give some other folks a chance. But hey, really, really lovely to connect, and thank you for making this available for us.
Yeah, I'm super happy to do it. Whenever one person asks me, I just do it again. Who knows? I might just start doing it every week because somebody's been asking me every week.
Okay, cool. Do I need to do anything to hang up, or is that all on your end?
No, I just mute you. That's all.
Okay, sweet. But thanks
Aloha.
again.
Thank you too.
Hello.
I see a hand. Oh my goodness. I'm going back up to the top, and that's Bob's at the top right now. And then Lori, you're 3 down. If you can give me a hand, that would be awesome. But if you can't, don't worry. I'll be back with you. Don't worry anyways. Aloha, Bob.
Hi. Yeah, I was in town and we tried to listen to you on her phone, and all of a sudden she had a virus. She had to call tech help to get off her virus, so we drove home and listened. Now I finally got home.
Hooray.
So then you had this article about how everything is kind of predestined. What was that called that you posted?
Well, I don't know if it's saying it's well, I guess it is saying that it's predestined. They're just able to scientifically tell that you don't really have free will. This was actually posted, or this is actually an article that ran in USA Today like 4 years ago. And it's funny
Okay.
because it's funny because there's so much resistance to it. It's actually been discovered in the scientific community that free will is a total illusion. But there's so much resistance to it. People don't want to know that, so it's not getting out there. And and it's so incredibly freeing to know this. But it seems like you have to get past the ego as gatekeeper to actually recognize that you don't have free will like that. You don't have free will into what choice you like. The article was saying, well, the front of it is like all those New Year's resolution, whether you make them or break them is beyond your control.
But then you were just talking about there's a certain degree of flexibility, though. That it's knowing the truth. If you can know the truth, then that gives you a little bit of flexibility. But
Well, there's
it
no
seems
you, though. There's no you to be given the flexibility like that. Okay?
right. Yeah.
In knowing the truth, in knowing the truth and recognizing the truth in the midst of a false perception, in the midst of a perception that's triggering you, okay, that's where the disease in the mind gets healed. It's not where you make your own manifestations or create your own reality or bullshit like that, okay, like that. Like, I'm going to get something for me, because there's no me to get it for. What happens is when there's this willingness to see through the illusion, then the illusion in the mind gets healed, and the physical material illusion reflects the mind. So it's all predestined as far as non-healing, right? As far as non-healing, but in every instant that the illusion is seen through, there's some healing that takes place. And as healings take place, naturally the mind shifts to different dimensions. So then the projection of the mind changes. You know, there might be a predestination for an accident to happen that would be necessary for your growth and understanding, right? But before that occurs, there's this work in the mind where there's always seeing where the guilt is and noticing where the guilt is. And so much of this guilt gets resolved that now the choices that you appear to make it so that you don't need that. You don't need that kind of learning experience. It's all for whatever is perceived to happen in the mind is all for that awakening out of the illusion of guilt. So if there's an active participation in that, which is basically that choice that I talk about between love and fear, between guilt and innocence kind of thing, that's the kind of seeing that allows for that flexibility so that the mind can, what is the word, ascend to higher dimensions. And higher, and I say higher as in lighter, less dense, not as much thought structure holding it. It's almost like it takes all this energy to hold all these thoughts in place. And when they're seeing what you're holding gets released. So then there's less holding and there's more lightness of being. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, it just seems like the big error is thinking that there's a you that's going to do anything or has any kind of free will or whatever.
Right.
That is the error, the separate selfhood apart from God, and all of our problems are due to thinking the separate selfhood has any kind of goodness to give to the world. You know, Jesus says, I of mine own self can do nothing. The Father within doeth the works. Why calls me good? There's but one good, the Father in heaven. So that's the idea. See, he totally negated himself as a person and allowed this Father, the God, the source, move in and through him out into the world, and that was the projection that he showed into the world, and why he saw no sin, disease, lack, limitation, or death, and could heal it all, because that he was being an outlet, an avenue of expression, or an avenue of awareness, a transparency for this other. So that, it seems to be the key, is we have no free will. Everything is just kind of coming from this unconscious or subconscious realm. And why not let God come through you? Why not be an avenue, an outlet for God, for light, for love, like you say?
Yes, any of those words that point to it. You know, if God doesn't resonate for people, fine. Yep, that's it, because that's where the magic is, because it's finally giving up this idea, you know, that the mind knows what I want, can know what I want, because it's like all that's really wanted by anyone, and everyone wants the same thing, is to return to oneness. That's all anyone wants. All these ideas of wanting stuff in the world, that's just a distraction.
Right.
And you know, all kinds of businesses are built on this distraction.
Yeah, that's right. That great is the way and narrow is the gate, and few there be that find it, because they're all distracted with their own little desires for themselves.
Exactly.
And the self can never enter into heaven. You know, you have to have your crucifixion before you have your resurrection and ascension to those higher, subtler realms that you're talking about.
Yeah, and it really seems like you're giving up a lot too, to give up manifestation, but it's so nothing, and that's what I want to be a witness to, is that it's so nothing to give up. It's like you're just changing nothing for all the love you can imagine and can't imagine.
Well, that's the only thing worth worth anything is love. You know, if you're wanting a car, you're wanting a job that is exciting, or you know, all of these kinds of things, you're just wanting for yourself. Where's the love? Where's the love you're wanting to give to the world? And love is that source, that true identity, that we all share in common as one self,
Yeah.
and that is really what we're yearning for. You know, we got to find our way back to the Garden of Eden, where we're all one with God and nature and each other. So, but that, it seems like that's where we're heading, but it seems like something that we have to do individually, and then we're doing it for the entire humanity.
Yes, it's all work done in the mind, and it's like even now with us getting together and having this wisdom dialogues, it's work in the mind. You know, it's these things are the things that the mind needs to know or is true, because there's doubt. There's so much doubt, and so as the mind opens up to this is really what's true. Oh my goodness, this is really, oh wow, it really is. You know, like that. It gets more and more exciting. It's like, oh yeah, it really is. And so it starts out with like belief, faith, and then trust, and then it's like, oh, I know, I just know that it is. And you know, at that point, it's just really, really easy, because it's like, oh, it's just obvious. That's just what it is. It's like a really blatant fact.
Mm-hmm.
so then,
Yeah.
so then it's easy to see that there's no person, and here's the things that I like to see and really reinforce in the mind. There's no individual, there's no choice, and there's no one else. There's no one else. It's not that that it's all me and you are my projection. My interpretation of you is a projection, but you are the same as me. We're one and the same. You aren't my projection. So that's a lot different than acting like I'm all alone and all of this is my projection. It's more like I'm one with everything being perceived. Like everything being perceived is consciousness. So there's a real sacredness to everything, but there's not an identification with it, and there's not a need for it to go a certain way. There's not an attachment to it, and there's not an aversion to it either. There's just that opportunity to share with myself.
Mm-hmm. Right, for oneself.
Yeah,
So,
it's really fun.
so it's like
All
when
right.
you're giving. It's like when you're giving money to someone, all you're doing is just taking it out of your left-hand pocket and put it into your right-hand pocket. It's all
Yeah.
the same self. You're never losing anything by
Yeah, and
giving
then
anything.
yeah, and then if you feel deficient because of it, then that's the kind of information that's going into that projector mind to make you seem deficient.
Hmm. Well, it just seems like the whole key is to get in touch with God, Source, love, light, the now, whatever you want to call, you know, the great divine or whatever. That you have to surrender your life, self-surrender, give up yourself, so that you can live from this one self and recognize that one self in everything and everyone, and then that's when everything becomes sacred and holy,
Yeah,
coming from that source, and you're an outlet for that source, and that's what love is to me. It's living
yeah,
from source, other than finite form and effect. That the
right,
ego, the separate selfhood, is caught up in, you know, like you know, caught in a web, a spider web of
right.
sensation, or a maze of sensation, and then it causes all the pain, and suffering and frustration and conflict and violence. And God never created a world like that. So that's just, you get back to the Garden of Eden, get back to source, and draw your life from the invisible and
Yep.
make it into visible reality.
Yep.
And yeah, so see, that's the idea of we have no free will, because why would we want to live with our own little petty will or desires? We're a bunch of dying ignoramuses. We have there's nothing really great about us.
Now
The
watch
only
when you
great.
say watch when you say we, because now you're not talking about who anyone is when you say that. You're talking about the mind. So that's what's really important there, to notice that you're talking about individuals made believe. You're not talking about anyone who's real. So that's really important to see, because there
Yeah.
can be what I see, especially in Christianity and all those different that are like Christianity, is they'll say this petty, ridiculous, dirty, whatever they want to say about the personal I, but at the same time they're sensing that that's their self. And that's the thing.
Well,
It's
yeah.
like it's really important to
Yeah.
see that that is not anyone's identification.
Yeah, well, that's just it. It's like I've mentioned, I see these selfish, petty, uh, superficial tendencies in others, and then I think to myself, well, I'm just like them. I'm not giving, I'm not loving, and then that gets me to the point where I see that I'm trapped. I'm a prisoner of myself, of my ego, of this thought process, and it's just going nowhere. It's a dead end road. Anywhere it takes me, it's just a limitation, and takes you to the mortal conditions of sin, disease, death, and lack of limitation. So it really is like a waking up. It's like you're in this dream of a separate selfhood, and separate from
Yeah.
God, separate from your source, separate from other people, and I feel alienated. I don't feel connected a lot. I look back and I have regrets. I says, why couldn't I be more loving, more connected, more giving? I could have done this and that, and I see that who I think I am. I'm so great, or I'm so loving. I do all this stuff, and it just falls short. It's just not almost but no cigar.
It's all
So
about the false self, though. Whether you see yourself as great and loving, or you see yourself as regretful and wishing you could have done things different, it's all about the false self. And I know we were talking last time, and you really got clear about there's just nowhere to go in thought, and that's all that's happening
right,
right there. You just thought about this
yeah, that's
individual that doesn't exist.
right. So that's it. Now all I'm doing is just going on, blabbing in a bunch of thoughts, and there he is. It just leads nowhere. It's just an endless maze that doesn't lead to any freedom. It just leads to more words and more words, and
Right.
you're caught in a prison of semantics and concepts,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
the carnal mind, like you say,
Yeah.
instead of the source mind, the love mind. You're caught in the web of form and effect and the limiting sensations of the body, limited by the body. Because I identify with the body. I'm Bob Shine, born 11/7/56. That's what everyone looks to. The police, they can find everything about you with your name and birth date. And so, one has to resurrect and ascend out of that selfhood. But yeah, it seems like though that the ego, the separate selfhood, it could be like a womb. Like when we're born in out of our mother's womb into this world, it's another womb. It's another period of gestation, to where you can be born out of this limited ego sense into the higher, more subtle, refined, spiritual identity, and then recognizing that in everyone and everything around you, that it is all the one self. It seems like that's the next birth.
Okay.
That instead of heading toward the tomb, you could be born into another womb, and that can be a rebirth into true identity and God source, and you're out of the restrictions and limitations of your mortality, and then you get reborn into your immortality from the finite to the infinite. And
Well, there's no you to do all of this, though. See,
right,
this,
right. Well,
this is what's seen here. When all of these things are being spoken and all of these things are going on in the mind, there's this something to get for someone. This reborn is something to get for someone. There's not this this enthusiasm just for the moment, just for having just for being there as the miracle in the moment, you know. It's all to get somewhere. It's all to get something for someone. This rebirth is all to get somewhere. And it's like it's already going, apparently. It's only apparently going somewhere. Nothing's even moving. But these kinds of ideas are really a trip up, you know, from just being right here with the ascent, with all these sensations that are arising right now. Because all of these ideas and concepts, they're taking all the energy up in the mind. They're not going to the source that's here right now, which is whatever is arising, whatever kind of sensations are arising right now. Even if it is identification as Bob Shine, instead of running away from that identification of as Bob Shine in the mind and trying to find these concepts of rebirth and all these other things, just being present with that, and then this kind of transformation takes place right there in that instant. But it can't be until there's willingness to give up all of the concepts and all of the beliefs. It's gotta take you. It's gotta take your mind to the end of thinking, the end of it.
yeah. Well, that's just it. See, thought is always in the past. It's always in memory. You can never have new thought.
Yeah.
So it's always conditioned and programmed, and memories and data from the past. So you have that to be reborn is just to be reborn into the now moment. That's all there is to it.
Right now,
It's not
yeah, exactly.
great future state or whatever. As long as you're looking to the future, you're denying the present, which is the truth and the reality. But that's just where our minds are at. The mind, the thought negates the present because it's always based on memory, on the past. And
Well, it has to
the
be seen
future.
through. It has to be seeing through the mind. It has to be seeing through the illusion. That's how the mind gets healed. It's seeing through this illusion. So, you know, when you say that's where our minds are at, that's something that makes that concrete too. You know, not only in your own perception of the thoughts that are arising in your mind, but then now you're making that true for the other versions of yourself that are running around. You know, it's like
Oh, the other people.
it's like yeah, it's like it's whatever whatever's coming up right now, just address that and leave all the concepts behind. That's all.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's what we're doing right now.
That's what we're doing right now. Okay, I'm going to go on to Lori now. She said she would like to talk with me before I go, and we've been on for an
Okay.
hour
Well,
and a half, which is awesome.
oh boy,
Yeah.
yeah. We
So,
went for
yeah,
a
no,
long
I
time
don't
last.
mind as long as people have questions and stuff. I don't mind. If you have an appointment at 4, but that's an hour away. Okay. So I'm going to go over to Chris or to
Okay.
Lori right now. Aloha, Bob. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay.
Lori, are you still there?
I am still here.
You
Yes,
are
I am.
here. Yay.
Yeah, this is great. Because as you're talking, you were talking about being the doubts.
Yeah.
With my husband's loss of the job
Yeah.
and everything that has happened, actually, basically through the summer, when I have literally seen, I have, it's been seen that there is no one here doing that I am not doing anything. There is absolutely not a shadow of a doubt. And once that came, I realized that no one else is either.
Yeah.
So right then, there goes judgment. You can't hold anything personal for what
Yeah.
anybody says because nobody's doing it. I've seen clearly that all of this is just happening.
Yes.
And I've also seen that as far back as the mind can go, it links up. I mean, my God, there is no mistakes in it. Everything leads to the next happening. It, oh, I am literally in awe of all of it.
Yes.
It's a beautiful unfolding. I
Yes.
and I, I'm not doing anything. And to
You're not even
actually
having this conversation.
and actually not be able to be sucked back into the doer, that is freedom.
Uh-huh.
Holy. Just
Yeah.
that alone is a complete game changer.
Yeah. So you can testify that what you gave up was nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Ah,
me too. Me too. And it's great because the thing that gets thrown out there by the mind is that would be boring.
oh, I've heard a lot of people say that it's boring, but oh my God, I've been so wound up, I am in such a high vibrational state all the time, like very up, listen, my husband just lost his job. We have bills and I am friggin' dancing in my car when the music is on. I can't, I'm snapping.
You can't help it
I
because it's a
can't,
joy that's bubbling up. It doesn't depend on circumstances.
it's nothing. It's all
Yeah,
from inside, right?
yeah. All of the manifestation, it's nothing. It's
Mm.
absolutely nothing. You can have an appearance of laying in the hospital on your deathbed, and it's still that same joy bubbling up from within.
It's crazy.
We used to sing a song. I don't know if you guys all know, but I was raised a Christian missionary, and we used to sing a song. And it comes up in my head. It go, it's bubbling, it's bubbling, it's bubbling in my soul. It's singing and laughing since Jesus made me whole.
Uh,
I just can't understand it. I cannot keep it quiet. It's bubbling, it's bubbling, it's bubbling deep inside.
Aw, that's sweet.
So it's like I completely feel that, you know. It's not like
Yes.
it's like
It's no wonder that comes up
yeah,
because
it's
that's
no
what you're
wonder.
feeling. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and it's funny that I remember it too because it's been like I don't know, 35 years or something like that.
No kidding. Wow. And your mom's going to be really thrilled that she heard you sing that.
She's not on anymore. I'm sure she had something to do,
Oh,
but
oh, she
but
left
she
you.
might listen to the recording. I don't know if she'll even remember it.
Yeah, she's got to. She sounds so much
That's
like you.
the
I was
song.
shocked.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I could totally tell. Yeah. All right. Well, I just want to thank you very much for another great evening. I
Oh,
really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to. I hope we got some audio this time so we can listen to it back.
I bet you we did. I bet you we did because I didn't have to reboot in the middle of it.
Right, 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 right,
Yeah,
right. Perfect.
yeah.
All
So
right.
I'm just gonna go back and see if Christine wanted to talk to me again because I know I'm not seeing hands. I saw Bob's, that's it, but I'm just gonna go back and check if Christine wants to talk to me
Okay.
again. And I'm gonna sign off unless I see
Aloha.
a hand. I know it doesn't really work sometimes, but
Mhm. Alo-
aloha. Aloha, Christine.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
Blessings.
Blessings to everyone. Aloha.